At Team Toyota, they've been selling and servicing new and used Toyotas in your community for over 50 years. And you can reserve your next new Toyota with them today. You'll get a realistic timeline, and even in this crazy market, they won't charge you over MSRP. Or don't wait at all. With over 75 certified Toyotas, including a bunch of RAV4 and Highlanders, you can drive one home today. And you can always trust them to maintain your current vehicle. Their service and collision centers are high-tech, comfortable, and will save you time and money. Team Toyota can help you go anywhere you want, but they'll always be your hometown team. Just visit teamtoyota.net and choose from 3 locations in Langhorne, Glen Mills, or Princeton. Hey everybody, welcome to the Phillies Talk podcast presented by Team Toyota. Corey and Jim here with you as always. After the first game of the Phillies West Coast trip, their final West Coast trip of the regular season. Very strange game, Jim, Monday night. The Phillies jumped out to that huge lead. They blew it in epic fashion. I got a text from a buddy last night saying that the last 2 innings of baseball, referring to the 4th and 5th, were the least fun that he's had watching baseball this season, which a lot of walks will do that to you. They'll put you to sleep, and that's what the Phillies did. It was just free pass after free pass in those decisive middle innings last night.
Yeah, it was ugly. It was really ugly, and your friend is right on the money. It wasn't fun to watch. There's no better way to start off a road trip, and an important road trip. Every game is important for this team. They have not sewed anything up. They've had a great run. They're firmly on the playoff grid, holding that 5th seed, but they have sewn nothing up. And they still need victories. And you come out to Arizona and, you just jump on Madison Bumgarner, who, one of the game's great warriors. He helped pitch that San Francisco Giants team to 3 World Series. That guy logged incredible innings in the month of October, but he's got 3 rings, and that's what the game is all about. He is not the same guy. And, coming into the game, his 3 previous outings, he got hit hard, and he continued to get hit hard, literally, again, in the first 4 innings, 3+ innings, 4 innings on Monday night. The Phillies, in those 3 and 2/3, 4 innings, they hit 9 balls came off the bat at 100 miles or more. Schwarber hit a 3-run home run that was 110 off the bat, and Harper hit 2 rockets right at this young right fielder that the Diamondbacks just brought up, Corbin Carroll, really good prospect. Harper hits 2 scorchers at him, one of them that brings the kid to his knees and gets by him for a double. And both of those balls, one was 113 off the bat, one was 113.6 off the bat. So they're just crushing Madison Bumgarner. 11 hits, 7 runs. Ranger Suarez is on the mound. What a great way to open a road trip. And everything went to hell after that 4th inning. After the top of the 4th, they give up 6 in the bottom of the 4th. They give up 6 in the bottom of the 5th. First time in Diamondbacks history they've scored 6 runs in back-to-back innings. So the Phillies give up 12 runs in the 4th and 5th. They walked to the ballpark. I think there were 2 bases-loaded walks in there and a bases-loaded hit batsman to tie the game. They faced 22 batters in those 2 innings and threw 91 pitches. I mean, the game just slowed right down. It became ugly to watch, especially if you were Phillies fans. The Diamondbacks just took it to you, and there were a lot of problems there. For the second start in a row, Ranger Suarez, and to me this is a big concern, as the innings pile up here. He lost his command in the middle innings, and he couldn't hold them back. And almost held him back. Gene Segura who's played very well for this club, makes a really costly error in that bottom of the 4th inning, and it ended up costing the team 4 runs. So it was a 2-out error. 1 run scores on that play, and then 3 more later in the inning. So it cost him 4 runs. If he makes that play on a ground ball, I think it was Carroll, they're out of the inning, giving up only 2 runs, and maybe it's, make an adjustment and get it all together. It was a really, really difficult, ugly loss. I mean, I wrote about some of the ugly ones this season, and this was right up there. The only saving grace I can say is sometimes when you're a good team, this stuff happens, and sometimes it's really easy to forget one of these losses and come back the next day and really purge it from your system with a good ball game. They're going to need a good start from Aaron Nola on Tuesday night, but it ain't going to be easy because Zach Gallen is pitching. I think his last 27 innings, his last 4 starts, he has not given up a run. Kid from Bishop Eustis, South Jersey guy, former North Carolina Tar Heel. He's really good. So the Phillies hitters are going to have their work really cut out for them.
Yeah, Gallen 9-2 with a 2.66 ERA. That's who the Phillies are up against Tuesday night. There are several local ties with the Diamondbacks. They also have Christian Walker, who's from Norristown. He reached base 4 times last night. He's their hottest hitter with like a 400 on base percentage this month and a lot of power. He has a career high 30 home runs. Jim, with Ranger Suarez, he'd been pitching pretty well since coming back from the injured list, but these walks, this has been an issue for him throughout the season. 16 out of 23 starts for Ranger Suarez this season. He's walked multiple batters. He's walking about 3.5 guys per 9 innings. Even lately, as he's had some success, there have been a lot of walks. It's like all 2, 3, 4 walk games over the last 6 weeks. And this is a guy who probably doesn't have enough stuff to overcome that consistently high walk total. He needs to avoid base hits when these guys are on base if he's issuing free passes. Last night, things just fell apart between Suarez, Christopher Sanchez, Andrew Bellotti. Nobody could throw strikes. But, that being said, the Diamondbacks are playing pretty well right now. They entered the series 8 games under 500, but they did just sweep the White Sox. They're 13-8 in their last 21 games. This is going to be a challenging week for the Phillies. I know that they have 2 teams who are under 500, but it's far different than facing the Pirates and Reds at home.
No question. They have a pretty good lineup, and they have some, they have some juice over there because they just called up this top prospect, Corbin Carroll, good-looking left-handed hitter. As you mentioned, Christian Walker's got 30 bombs. I mean, he always gets up to play his hometown team. They got a kid from Scranton named Jake McCarthy. So I think that uniform, Phillies uniform comes in and, got a high-flying team beating up on people, and the Diamondbacks, at least their offense, really came ready to play. So Ranger Suarez, how close is he? Can you look up how close he is to career high in innings?
Yep, stand by. Ranger Suarez last year threw 106. This year he's at 120. That's just in the majors. So if you were to look at like combined, his career high is about 125. So he's within a few innings of his career high here.
Yeah, I wonder if that is, have something to do with it. Already we've seen Dominguez go on the IL. We've seen Wheeler go on the IL, both with non-serious injuries to their pitching arm. Dominguez, they called it tricep tendonitis. Wheeler, they called it forearm tendonitis. In both cases, the word fatigue was used. So the innings are piling up for these guys. It's that time of the year, and I wonder if Ranger Suarez is feeling a little fatigued. He did have that back issue. He's been back from it now for about a month and a half, and at times pitched very well. But you wonder about the finish. You're right. He's a guy. He's not overpowering. He's got to be pinpoint, and that's what he is. He's 100% pitcher. He's not going to blow you away. He's going to change speeds. He's going to spot that fastball. That's one of his strengths. He's got to get it in on righties. Sinker, changeup, and breaking ball, and everything. Just it seems sharp for a few innings, but having a tough time getting it through the middle innings and keeping it together through the middle innings. So I don't know if the back is flaring. I did ask him after the game last night, and he said he's 100% healthy. He feels great. Just could be a little bit of fatigue here in late August, as we've seen with other guys. But it's the type of thing where they need to figure out a way to get through it. Throughout the whole staff, if guys are feeling it, because there's really 5 weeks to go here, and nothing is firm yet in terms of their playoff status. They hope to be there. They're in pretty good shape, but they still need to perform to lock it down.
Phillies have a lot of road games left this season. 21 of their final 33 games come on the road. They do have the 5th best road record in the majors so far this season at 33-27. So we'll see what they can do the rest of this week against the Diamondbacks and Giants. Jim, Nick Castellanos was out of the lineup Monday to start this trip. What's the latest on him?
Yeah, he's got turf toe on one of his right toes. It's like a little sprain, but your right side is so important. Your right foot, it's your base, provides a lot of your base in the batter's box as well as throwing. So he's had it for like a week or so, according to Rob Thompson. It's bothered him a little bit. So they sat him last night, tried to knock it out of him, and rested him. And Thompson indicated, it's day by day as far as the rest of the series. So he's available for pinch hitting, but we'll see where that goes. Castellanos was getting treatment yesterday. I didn't have a chance to speak with him. Try to speak with him today and see what's going on. But like I said, he's been last month he's been swinging it pretty good, very good. In fact, they need him. They need him, and they need to sustain. An offense needs to sustain. They had 11 hits in the first 4 innings last night, 0 the rest of the way. 0 the rest of the way. I know if the pitching had thrown strikes, they would have, and they made plays, they would have held that team down. But offense also needs to sustain throughout 9 innings. So we'll see what happens.
And then what about Zach Wheeler? Zach Wheeler went on the IL, and he has spoken as if he doesn't think that it's a significant arm injury that's going to keep him out a long time. What's the latest on Zach Wheeler and, for that matter, Seranthony Dominguez?
Start with Seranthony because he seems a little farther down the road in his recovery from tricep tendonitis. He played catch at like 90 feet yesterday in the outfield. I did get to speak with him afterwards. He was smiling and saying he felt a lot better. Asked if it's completely out of there. He said almost. It's like he said it's almost all out of there. So I think he's going to play catch again today. And Thompson said they're going to then they'll progress him to a bullpen mound. And Thompson said they would like to get him a competitive inning or two, an appearance or two in the minor leagues before bringing him back. So I'm not saying they're going to take a ton of time with him, but they're going to be cautious in bringing him back because they want him really. You'd like him for the final 3 or 4 weeks, and beyond. So though he's eligible on Friday to come off, he won't come off on Friday. He'll need a little bit more time as they continue flush it 100% out of there and build him back up a little bit for the true stretch drive, the final whatever it is, 3 weeks. So things look good there, but until you see him on the mound looking like Seranthony, dazzling as he has been, you never know. And there has to be reason for concern. But, as of yesterday, him walking off the field and playing catch, he felt good. He was smiling. There was optimism. Wheeler is still in his no-throw stage, getting a lot of treatment. And the hope there and the feeling there is he'll start throwing here in the coming days and be ready to go on September 6th. That's when he'd be eligible to come off at home against Miami, and Thompson still thinks that's going to happen. So in both cases, they don't sound like serious injuries. And like I said earlier, the word fatigue has been used. So this might be just like, a little break, like a little cup of coffee at 2:30 in the afternoon to get you going a little bit, and and maybe you turn them both loose for the stretch run. They need to turn them both loose for the stretch run because both are vital. Both are vital. This is a delicate mix, especially on the pitching staff. You don't have those two guys, I think you're in trouble.
If this was September 20th and the Phillies were like fighting for their playoff lives, does this sound like an injury that would have had Wheeler out? Or is this more so like, do you get the sense that this has been more so like precautionary, that the Phillies are facing these bad teams? Maybe they'll be able to get through a couple of Wheeler's turns with a Christopher Sanchez or a Bailey Falter, and that this was an opportunity to rest a guy who led all of Major League Baseball in innings last season.
I think there's a little bit of that there, especially with Seranthony. I think that's one of the reasons they're not pushing the pedal to the metal to get him back like Friday, because piled up a few wins here. You're on the playoff grid. You're holding that 5th spot. Some favorable matchups team-wise, and maybe you can get them some rest. But for that to work, you got to hold 7-0 leads for that philosophy to work. With Wheeler, I also think it definitely played into their thinking, especially skipping him in his last start against the Pirates and going with Bailey Falter. Pirates are a weak team. Phillies take 3 or 4. It worked. But Wheeler wanted to take the ball in that game. He fought him a little bit, and they convinced him that, let's err on the side of caution and take a common sense approach, and he agreed with it. So he wanted to keep going, and he said he could have kept going and pitched through it. So I do think if it was September 20th and they were really battling, he would have taken that ball and pitched right through it. So that I think that's a good sign and indicative that he's very confident he can come back from it, and indicative that it's indeed not serious.
You talked earlier about that homer that Kyle Schwarber did. It was only the second homer he's had over the last 3 weeks, and he also crushed a ball later in that game, a 380-foot fly out to the warning track, almost went out. That was a good sign, though, because Schwarber hadn't really been swinging for power over the last few weeks. The Phillies had still been able to win a lot of games. They went 14-7 in a stretch where he had 1 homer in the span of 21 games. But that's another bat that they need to get back going. It's kind of surprising, when you look at Schwarber's season numbers, obviously leading the NL in home runs, but the on-base percentage is just like barely over 300, which you're not expecting with Kyle Schwarber. You're expecting that even if he hits 230, that it's going to come with like a 360 OBP.
Right.
Hasn't been as much of the case lately, but he sure had 2 good swings last night.
Yeah, I thought he led off the game with a home run. That was that long fly ball to the wall and right. And then later he absolutely just obliterated a pitch for a 3-run home run. That was the 3rd or 4th inning. But yeah, you're right. I mean, they rely a lot on the home run ball for their offense, and Schwarber's a guy that provides it. So, I hate to say you absolutely need this guy to hit home runs because, man, he's hit a lot of them, 36 of them. But you are a better offense when he's doing that. Case in point, he and Rhys Hoskins led the June revival, and Hoskins and Schwarber probably was tops on that list because he was just hitting home run after home run and helping you win ball games with big blows. So, and I know the other numbers are low, but maybe after this little lull, he will get it going a little bit. The key is he can't try to hit home runs. He's just going to go out and square the ball up. He's so strong that it's going to go. I wonder, but who do you think is this team's MVP? Is Schwarber the MVP even with some of those other numbers? I mean, just for what he did in the month of June, I just think it's a dead team without him.
Right. Like none of this would have materialized. None of this, the Phillies would be buried. They could be buried if Kyle Schwarber never kind of resuscitated them in that month of June. And it's tempting to say like Alec Boehm, just based on how hot he's been over the last 2.5 months, like a 320 hitter, but Schwarber did so much damage for that 6-week stretch. And that 6-week stretch rescued the Phillies from, being like 2 games under 500 to where they are now.
Yeah. It was like, he was the paddles that brought them back to life. So I'd be hard-pressed. I think there are a number of candidates for an MVP of this team, including Rob Thompson.
Yeah.
But I think it might be Schwarber just for what he did to bring them back from the dead and have them where they are, where other guys could start to build confidence, other guys could start to chip in. I also think this team learned a lot about itself when Bryce Harper was down. And I think the thing they learned is, hey, we can do this. We can do this. Boom, stop. Castellanos picked it up. Schwarber, Hoskins, Real Muto really picked it up. He, from that last game in St. Louis, I mean, it was that big hubbub when he didn't go to Toronto, but he had picked it up really in that last game in St. Louis, and he's carried it right through, hitting the ball harder. He's got, 17 stolen bases now. I've seen a lot of people pick up their game, but it all started with Schwarber. He was sort of that leavening agent that started it all. So if I had to pick an MVP for this team, I'd have to think long and hard about Kyle Schwarber because, like you said, like we said earlier, I don't know if any of this happens without that guy.
JT with those 17 stolen bases. I mean, we talk all the time about how athletic he is, but 17 for 17 stealing bases this year. That's 9 more than any catcher has. It's the most stolen bases any catcher's had since 2007 when Russell Martin had 18. I think the only 2 catchers over the last 22 years since 2000 with this many steals in a season are Real Muto Russell Martin, and Jason Kendall. So he's in some pretty rare air there.
And
But
he's not only quick and athletic and can steal, but he's a great base runner. I mean, the guy is such a good instinctual base runner. I think back to one of their biggest wins of the season, right around the trade deadline. I think it might have been the 3rd of August, day game, Atlanta. Like they're trailing all day. I think they got a great start from Zach Wheeler, and they rallied late on that. I think they took the lead on a 2-run home run by Nick Castellanos, but Real Muto made a great base running play, I believe, to extend that inning and get Castellanos to the plate. Now I have to get my scorebook, but he's just a really good base runner. He's just a really good baseball player, and he had a tough couple months finding his timing, finding his confidence, messing with his swing, messing with his leg kick, and he's just in a good place right now.
And JT is one of several Phillies veteran players who's never tasted the playoffs. JT Realmuto, Gene Segura, the two guys with the most games played in the majors that have yet to get to the playoffs. Also, Kyle Gibson. I think he's
Wheeler.
up there. Zach Wheeler, yeah, another one. Bryce Harper hasn't been.
Yeah. Wheeler and Nola. I mean, Wheeler and Nola. And they're the two reasons you'd like the Phillies. You'd really like the Phillies in a short series. Like if you're a favorite team, and those two guys pitched to their capability, rested and healthy and pitched to their capabilities, they can beat anybody and they can tie any lineup in knots on any given night. So those are, to me, the two big reasons to like the Phillies in a short series. That and a very dangerous offense that can, lay a whooping on somebody in a hurry. So, but like we said, they're not there yet. But yeah, a lot of this team has never tasted the postseason. And you go back to Clearwater, and even beyond, when they had the press conference when they announced Kyle Schwarber, they talked a little bit about this. But all winter long, in November before the lockout, you heard that Kyle Schwarber was a target. They liked the idea that maybe he could lead off. They liked the idea he had a chemistry with Kevin Long. They liked the idea he was an on-base guy. It hasn't happened. They liked the idea that he's a power guy. It has happened. But one of the things they really liked about him, he'd been to the postseason like 6 times. And in a clubhouse that had a very limited postseason experience, they thought the team would benefit from that intangible. And I think they have. I think he's their best leader. I think he's been the leader of this team, both between the lines from June 1 on. And in the clubhouse, he's just a very inclusive leader. From the 26th man to the star of the show, he's the same guy with everybody. Upbeat, positive, encouraging, battler, just good teammate. I've just been really impressed with that guy.
In talking about Nola and Wheeler potentially going in a short series, the Phillies could very well end up playing the Braves in that 3-game series to begin the postseason. And Nola and Wheeler historically have been very good against the Braves. The Phillies have held their own against the Braves, 6-6 this year. I think over the last 3 seasons, the teams are 500 against each other. So while Atlanta is red hot and, has all this confidence coming off of last season, that wouldn't necessarily be like a huge disadvantage for the Phillies, even though that entire series would be played in Atlanta because the higher wild card seed gets all 3 games of home field advantage. Bryce Harper has not missed a beat since returning, reached base in 8 of 17 plate appearances, couple doubles, 3 RBI. He's only struck out once, which is pretty impressive given how long he was down. This guy just, it seemed, I guess it shouldn't be too surprising. The heroics early in the rehab assignment, then he comes right back and hits a 2-run single in his first at bat back. He's doing a lot of damage early in games, which the Phillies have needed.
Yeah. Last night, those 2 doubles, both 113 miles an hour off the bat. But you're right. He's come back looking strong, the bat's quick, powerful. And, he'll be a huge difference maker here these last 6 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever it is. And he's another guy who doesn't have a ton of postseason experience and who, talked about it when he came here, how hungry he is for a championship. And he's playing like he wants to get there and experience it. It's been pretty amazing because sometimes hand injuries take a little while. And he was back in 2 months and a day. And sometimes even when you come back, it takes a number of at-bats to get that hand strength back. he was back in 8 at-bats in the minor leagues and looked like he never missed a beat. So, yeah, really good to see.
I'm just looking at the box score from the last playoff game Bryce Harper appeared in. It was back in 2017 against the Cubs. Ryan Madsen was on the Nationals. Gio Gonzalez started that game. There's just, some names in that box score that aren't around anymore. It just shows you how long it's been since Harper's been able to play in the month of October. You know that he's really relishing this opportunity. So the Phillies have 2 more in Arizona. They have 3 in San Francisco. It's their final West Coast trip of the year. After Friday night, the Phils don't have another game this season that begins after 8:10 p.m., which is good for us, huh? Then they have a 6-game homestand against the Marlins and Nationals. So there's still a lot of bad teams coming up on the Phillies schedule, and they just need to continue to push toward the playoffs. 1.5 games ahead of the Padres, 3 ahead of the Brewers. That's really the team that you're focusing on because they're the first team out. There's not a huge difference between finishing with the 2nd or 3rd wild card spot. It's really just the difference of facing the Braves or the Cardinals. So that's the week ahead for the Phils. Aaron Nola on the hill tonight. It'll be a challenging game against Zach Gallen as the Phillies look to get back on the winning track after 2 straight losses. So thanks a lot for listening to the Phillies Talk podcast. Catch you later in the week.